Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. For all those of you who are new here, my name is Mike and this is Mike's Philippine Retirement. And today I have a little cautionary tale for you. I want to tell you guys, say you've been sitting at home on the couch having a long distance relationship or conversation with a young girl here in the Philippines. Somebody you like, somebody who is interesting to you, somebody who you want to meet. But you're a couple years away from retirement. You can't just go today. You have to plan, you have to save, you have to take vacation time. Well, this is a story of Billy. Billy met a young lady online, somebody who was interesting to him, he enjoyed talking to. But as I talked to Billy and we went backwards in time, we found a lot of red flags in his story. And you guys, as you listen to this story, and the outcome is going to shock you. It is not the obvious. Anyway, Billy was talking to this young lady for almost a year. And during this whole year, he is in the back of his mind fantasizing, coming here and meeting her. And he's finally got the courage to do it. For the last 6 months, he's been saving his money. He's been, a good boy. He's talking to her on the phone. They're chit-chatting now and then. But she has some rules. What are her rules? She has laid down the law. When I tell you guys, you need to set boundaries. Here's a lady setting boundaries down to Billy, and her name is Judith. Judith, why are you setting boundaries for Billy, giving him rules? He lives in the U.S. He's a foreigner, and he wants to come and meet you here in the Philippines. You're a Filipina. Your arms should be wide open, accepting who he is and embracing the fact that he likes you. Well, her rules are no talking with each other online, no video chatting between the hours of 6 p.m. Philippine time and 8 a.m. Philippine time. In other words, at night. Also, no talking or video chatting on the weekends. And she has given the reason that, one, she has a job. She has to work down the road at a sari-sari store on the weekends. The other times during the weekdays that she can't talk is because she has family obligations in the evening. She has to cook dinner for the family. She has to take care of the family. Judith says she doesn't have any children. Judith says she's single. But the stipulation of only being allowed to talk 5 days a week between 8 a.m. in the morning and 6 p.m. in the evening, to me, I found awkward and something I would have ran away from as a red flag. But Billy, he lived with this. He had his own job. He had his own life. He didn't want to be talking, video chatting 24/7, but he would talk to her when he was driving to work. He would talk to her when he was coming home from work. And he would talk to her whenever it was convenient for the two of them and during the hours she set. But anyway, Billy decided he was coming to the Philippines. And for the last 6 months, he is saving his money and he is making plans. He has booked a plane ticket. He has a set date he was coming to the Philippines. And he told Judith, I'm coming, I'm going to fly into Cebu, we're going to meet, and then I want to go take a vacation. I want to relax. I've been working nonstop for the last 5 years without any kind of serious vacation, and I want a vacation. I want to get my toes wet in the ocean. I want sand between my toes also. I want a coconut cup that has a fruit drink in there with a little umbrella and a straw and sitting in the sun with my sunglasses and my sun hat, enjoying the sunrise or sunset. So he came. She went up to Cebu to meet him. They spent one day together. Everything was great. Now, Billy said, let's go. I want to go somewhere. And they decided to take a trip to Alona Beach. And they went there. But Judith did not want to go alone. Judith wanted her sister to come along because Judith wasn't feeling safe. She was telling Billy, we just met. And it's one thing for me to come to Cebu and spend a day with you in your hotel. It's another thing to travel, to get on a plane or to get on a ferry and just go away for a week, away from my family, my friends. I want my sister to come. Billy decided, yeah, that sounds about right. I've seen a lot of videos. A lot of people talk about the safety factor. A lot of women bring their girlfriends or their cousin along. So he agreed to that. So they went ahead and they booked a ferry from Cebu to Bohol. When it was time to get on the ferry, he was meeting the sister and Judith at the seaport. Well, when he got there, they were already there. They were packed. But to his surprise, the sister brought her husband. He got introduced. They patted each other on the back, on the shoulder, and everything was good. Billy's saying, well, they're a couple. So they went to Lona Beach, and they were just having a great time. And Billy was paying for everything, just like you would expect a foreigner to do. You get here, you're going to have to buy dinner for the girl you're with all the time. If she has a companion, what are you going to do, divvy up the check? No, he was paying for everything. And he bought an extra hotel room. The girls thought all four of them were going to be in one room, but Billy would have none of that. Billy had his room with Judith, and the sister and her husband had their own separate room. Very expensive for him. But this is a 2-week vacation. He's a 2-week millionaire. He's got credit cards. He's got cash. He's just taking care of everything. He just wants to enjoy life and relax. Well, all good things come to an end. And after all the money that he spent and all the time that he spent with Judith, he had a great time. He is not leaving Bohol, going back to Cebu City thinking, oh man, I got taken for a ride. He is thinking, wow, that was great. I really liked this Judith, man. We got along good. Her sister's nice. Her husband was very nice. Very friendly conversations. But remember, Billy was always buying everything. He had to buy breakfast for 4. He had to buy lunch for 4. He had to buy dinner for 4. When they went out drinking, they had to buy drinks for everybody. When they went to karaoke, it was his money paying for everything. And that sort of wears on you after a while. You're the guy here, and it sort of bothers you a little bit. But Billy took it in stride. He said, this is my first trip here. Yeah, I'm going to be spending too much money, but I had a hell of a good time. So he decided he was leaving. It's time to go. And he wanted to spend one more night with Judith. Well, Judith came over, and they did more talking than anything else, because Billy wanted to sort of firm up this relationship. And what he was doing in the past almost a year with Judith is he was sending her $50 every month. Now, Judith has been watching him throw money around like it's nothing. Spending 3,000 pesos, $60 for dinner, hotel rooms, 4, 5, 6,000 pesos a night for the hotel room, the ferry rides. And Judith is thinking, I'm only worth $50 to you? You should be sending me more money than that $50. And Billy said, I'll think about that. And Judith put her foot down. She says, I'm worth more than $50 a month. I want you to contribute to me fairly. You're rich. The 2-week millionaire is leaving the Philippines. His girlfriend thinks he's rich, and he's getting on the plane and going back to the U.S. And he has a lot of thinking to do. When he got back home and him and Judith started talking to each other again, Judith was saying, well, have you thought about it? Am I still only going to get $50 US a month support from you? Or are we going to raise it up to what you think should be fair for me? I'm waiting for you. I'm here a whole year talking to you. You're the only man in my life. I'm willing to give you everything. Billy, being careful with that. He's thinking it's all right if I spend the money and I'm there. I'm taking you out, I'm taking your family out, but I'm enjoying all that too. But just to send money to keep a relationship going. Billy had a hard time with this. And the more and more he thought about this, the more and more distance him and Judith were starting to have apart, because the subject was always about money. Before, it was more about each other's life and what was going on in life. But now that she saw his checkbook, saw his wallet, saw the credit cards, saw him paying for stuff, he tipped more the whole time they were together than he would send her in a month. And she saw all that. Her eyes were wide open. Her sister's eyes were wide open to all the money Billy was spending. And again, that's all right for Billy. He's a 2-week millionaire. He's on vacation. He's got 12 months to pay off those credit cards before he goes on vacation again. We've all done that. We've all gone on vacations. We all overspend at Christmas and then taken a few months to get caught up on the bills. But this is tearing apart his relationship. He is thinking, do I give in and just give her more money? And he sort of doesn't want to. But then a surprise showed up on his Facebook one day. It was a friend's request from a Filipina. Now, he gets those all the time. He looks at their profile and then he, discards it or he accepts it, one or the other. But he really doesn't chit-chat with other girls. But this girl said, I'm a friend of Judith's. We're from the same hometown. I want to warn you about something. So he got very curious. What is this girl trying to warn me about? So he friended her, he started talking to her, and she didn't want to say. She would just say, you need to be careful of Judith. She's not what she seems. Well, after a few times talking back and forth, the girl finally said to him, Judith has a husband. And he goes, no, she doesn't. She doesn't have a husband. And the first thing he thought in the back of his mind was, the guy with the sister, was that her husband? And he waited a couple days and he was thinking this, should he bring this up? Should he block this girl who is telling him stories? Are they true? Are they false? You've heard of that crab mentality where a girl sees another girl with a foreigner and then she wants what she has. And if she can't, she wants to sabotage that girl. Maybe that girl is interested in him, wants him to break up with Judith. Maybe she's heard that there's a little trouble in paradise between him and Judith, and she thinks there's a crack and I can get in there and I can spread a rumor or a lie, and maybe this guy will come to me. So Billy, he decided, I'm going to confront Judith. And he told Judith, Judith, a friend of yours messaged me, and she told me that you were married, that you had a husband living with you. Judith was in shock. I'm not married. I live here with my family being my mom, my dad, my siblings, my nieces, my nephews. There's no husband here. I wouldn't have spent time with you if there was a husband. But Billy started thinking about the hours. Those hours seem like 8 in the morning to 6 p.m. that we can chit-chat. Are those the hours he's gone to work? Is he home all night and then he leaves by 8 in the morning and he comes home a little bit after 6, dinner time? Is he home on the weekends and that's why she can't talk to him on the weekends? Doubt is setting in his mind. He is seeing things, maybe they're true, maybe they're not true. But a little birdie put it in his head that there's a husband behind the scenes. And with all this argument over the money, the tension about her wanting him to send more money, Billy decided to call her bluff and said, you know what, Judith, I'm going to break up with you. I don't know if you have a husband or not, but people are telling me you do. And why would they tell me you have a husband if you don't? And Judith just tells him, they're just lying. They're jealous. Guys, do you think Filipinas can be jealous? Do you think a Filipino would sabotage somebody else's relationship because of their jealousy or that, quote, crab mentality? We've talked about that many times. As one Filipino or Filipina is starting to become successful, they'll reach up and pull them back into the bucket. No, you don't. You don't go without me. You can't be successful and I'm going to stay poor. I can't be happy for you unless it's happening to me also. That crab mentality here. Well, after looking deep into this, Judith is not married. Never has been married. Doesn't have any children. She's just a very simple girl with good morals and good character. But she does know her self-worth. And she saw all the money that Billy was throwing around that she should receive more because he has more. And if he wants her to keep waiting for him and keep waiting for him and keep waiting for him, that she should get more so she doesn't have to work so hard. Maybe if she had more money, she would have more time for him on the weekends. I don't know. I don't know the in-depth story, but this is a story of relationships where you have to set the boundaries, and they get tested a lot. The boundaries get tested all the time. And sometimes they get tested to the point that the relationship breaks. And a lot of it, maybe it's better that it happens while you're in a long distance relationship and not once you get here in a permanent relationship. But the thing is, being so far away, 8,000 miles away, you don't know what's going on behind the camera. For every man that tells me their girl is good and there's nothing going on, I can find 10 guys telling me she had a boyfriend or something's going on the other side of the camera. I see bloggers do that. I see a lot of these female bloggers here in the Philippines who have boyfriends or husbands, but they tell their audience on YouTube or on TikTok, I'm single. First guy here gets me. You know, send me help. Send me something. I'm single, but they're not. They have a guy behind them. And you have to be careful about that. You never know what's really going on. And you have to do your due diligence. You got to do your homework. The mistake that I think Billy made, it wasn't his 2-week vacation, his 2-week millionaire, taking another couple with him to make her feel safe and secure. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. Billy can pay those bills. He's still working, and he can overcome the bills that he ran up. But he had the best time of his life. He has a memory for a lifetime. But it was the questions prior to going there. You know, the digging deeper. Why not before 8 a.m.? Why not after 6 p.m.? Let's test this someday. You know, say, hey, I really want to talk to you tonight. You have to prove to me, and lay it out there. Say, you have to prove to me there's no man living with you. You have to prove to me. You know, everybody can talk and say whatever they want. Words are words. Actions prove the reality of life and the truth. Show me with your actions, not just with your words. People will easily say, I love you. They will easily say, I'll wait for you. But prove it. How do you prove you love somebody? How do you prove you'll wait for somebody? That's a hard thing to prove, but it's something in a long distance relationship. You're both taking a gamble. And I think the foreigner is making the biggest gamble because you have more to lose. You're giving up everything to move here to the Philippines. The girl's giving up nothing. She lives in her house. She lives with her folks. You're coming. Yeah, you're coming. Yeah. And when you get here, then she'll move on. But she's not giving up nothing until you're here, where you are giving up everything to get here. And then you're going to find the reality. And maybe it'll be too late to go back. Maybe you'll be emotionally spent. You'll be bankrupt, not just financially, but you'll be bankrupt emotionally. Guys, leave a comment down below. What were some of the red flags you saw? Let me know in the comment section. What do you think about Billy and Judith? Remember, in the long run, Judith did nothing wrong. But there were little things that just didn't add up. And her asking for the extra money, I think, is the straw that broke the camel's back. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching.